This actually, fun fact, is the first video on this channel that will be edited front to back by not Tommy. So if you're liking the way this one looks, let me know. What's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another episode of the Ancestry Anthology. Today, Mr. Rantfiend requests we crack open Life's Long Shadow and talk about something that I imagine folks have been waiting for in TTRPGs at large, because apparently the Rugaru wasn't enough for you. Our first anthro dog folks in Pathfinder, the Shoony. If you're liking what you're seeing, remember to like, subscribe, and ding the bell as me and my new editor start getting our flow back and forth together. More videos in this sort of vein should start coming out. Oh, by the way, you should probably go, check them out. If you're into systems that aren't necessarily Pathfinder, Avenue Studios plays Open Legend and, objectively speaking, has better live play content than most of the people on YouTube, certainly better than the stuff on this channel. So what are you waiting for? Go, go, go. I'll put a card. Yeah, we gotta put a card. Always the card. Follow this card right up here. Anyway, big shout out to all of my patrons today for helping me finance this fancy new chapter of Black Dragon Gaming, being able to GM a billion games and also put out non-game, strictly speaking, content. Couldn't do it without y'all, and today, this episode of the Ancestry Anthology was brought to you in part by Monkey Master Sev. Thanks for your support, buddy. Now, here we go. So, as someone who is a cat person, this one's a little harder for me to speak to. I guess I'm gonna have to just soldier on, aren't I? People like dogs. I'm not that bad, I kid. Throughout the course of at least one Pathfinder, unless you wanted to play a Gnoll or, again, a Rugaru, something that was a little more hyena-y or wolfy, and maybe less a little dog-y, we've had a lot of races of humanoids that appeared like animals we see on planet Earth. We're talking foxes, cats, lizards, so on and so forth, but we've never had something so adorable as man's best friend. And that's really the trope that we've gone with this ancestry, because if you ask a Shoony, Eridan, the god of humanity, created Shoony kind to provide him with company after he created the Isle of Kortos. I was secretly hoping the headcanon for this would have been Eridan awakened his dog when his dog got old and gave him human lifespans or something and intelligence so they could have big long conversations. But I'll take that too. And as you might expect for a culture that believes they were created by a deity, Shoony culture is rooted in their mythology and the implications of the fact that, well, Eridan snapped his fingers and there they were. This can help to explain the Ancestry's long reputation for hospitality, goodwill, and pacifism. War, in fact, is antithetical to the Shoony way of life. They rely on cooperation, persistence, things of that nature to make their way through the world. As you can see by this wonderful art, the Shoony is a squat, furry humanoid with flattened canine faces and wet black eyes. We're playing pugs that walk around. If you wanted to play the pug from Men in Black, well, maybe, or I guess that you could reflavor an alchemist. Yeah, sure, why not? Or perhaps a wizard? I don't know, we're rambling. Their fur can be a variety of colors and patterns. Most of the time you're looking at a fawn or black color. And their loose skin gives even the most swollest of Shoony the appearance of being pudgy. Aw, poor guys. They also have short curly tails that sometimes wag involuntarily when they are content or particularly excited. Like canines, these guys can't sweat, so hey, you get to play something that pants, hooray. It's also not uncommon to see a Shoony with a perpetually lolling tongue. Imagine that. How you raise the hackles of these things, I'm not so sure, but perhaps some Shoony ends up joining some crusade somewhere, and here it comes on ponyback, lance couched and charging, tongue lolling out from its helmet. It's a wonder this race hasn't just caught filth fever. Why can't you just be happy with the Amur and just play catfolk? Anyway, despite their drive towards communal living, most Shoony settlements are farming villages with populations of 100 at most. They work hard to make their lands bountiful and recognize that large, dense populations can negatively affect the ecosystem. Monster attacks, natural disasters, and exploitation from stronger cultures have also limited the spread of Shoonis across the Inner Sea region. A Shoony comes of age just after, give or take, 8 to 10 years. The max age for these guys usually is around 50. It's very uncommon to see a Shoony reach that age. There's very little differentiation between males and females, except for like very late during stages of pregnancy, and as they age, both sexes will develop graying facial fur, wrinkled skin, so on and so forth. Shoonis will average in height about 3.5 feet tall, or for my friends on the other side of the pond, 1.0668 meters, and despite being that short, average about 100 pounds, or like 45 1/3 kilograms, again, for my friends in other parts of the world. Y'all thought I'd forget to do it in the metric system because it's been so long. Nuh-uh, I got you. What I also have is a basically new formula of video series that I'm still working out. I guess let's do the heritages before we do the big details. Yeah, that sounds good. Out the gate, they've got 4. The Bloodhound Shoony, whose ancestors were famous trackers and whomst carries in their blood that same gift, gets imprecise scent with a range of 30 feet, which means you can use your sense of smell to determine the location of a creature, but it remains hidden. In addition, you gain +2 to survival checks to track creatures you have previously sensed with your scent. Also, I really like how the mechanic is explained just immediately in the heritage entry. That's beautiful. The Fish Seeker Shoony comes from a long line of fisher folk and has inherited the quick reflexes necessary to nab and reel in the big game. If you roll a success on an attempt to grab an edge, you crit success instead. If you crit fail, you get a failure. A creature that rolls a failure on a check to disarm gets a crit fail instead. Really, that doesn't have a lot to do with fishing, but hey, that's cool. Maybe give them like trained in fishing lore on top of that or something. Paddler Shoony have lived long and successfully among the reeds and cattails of swamps and marshes, thus ignore difficult terrain and greater difficult terrain from bogs. When they roll a success to swim, they get a crit success. And the Thick Coat Shoony gets cold resistance equal to half its level and treats environmental cold effects as if they were one step less extreme. They do not need to succeed at a flat check to target a concealed creature if the creature is concealed only by snow. Unless they wear protective gear or take shelter, environmental heat effects are one step more extreme. Or like when summer comes around, maybe get a haircut. Nevertheless, I think the Bloodhound Shoony is standing out the most to me on this one. The last 2 might be pretty good in some settings and some campaigns, but really just having scent 30, that seems really strong to me. Now, mechanically speaking, the Shoony gets 6 hit points, is a small creature with a speed of 25 feet. Its ability boosts are to dexterity and charisma with 1 freebie, with an ability flaw in constitution, as we see that really, truly, Pathfinder has not changed since its early days. This one might go ahead and say it now, long live Dexchai ancestries. Maybe this one and the Goblin will be the only ones. Doubt. Shoony begin play speaking Common and, of course, Shoony, and may choose from Dwarven, Gnomish, Goblin, Halfling, Terran, and any other language to which they have access. If their int mod is positive, they've got low light vision, and all have the Blunt Snout trait. Your small blunt snout and labyrinthine sinus system make you resistant to phenomena that assail the nose. When you roll a saving throw against inhaled threats, such as poisons and olfactory effects, think like the stench of the Zolgoth that appear in the adventure where the Shoony does. Wow, sideboard race, there it is. You get the outcome 1 degree of success better than the result of your roll. Can't stink them out. And now for our Ancestry feats. First, the level 1 feats, dig quickly for 2 actions. Your hands work effectively as shovels when you need to dig a quick hole, assuming you're standing on dirt, sand, snow, or something you could reasonably jam your hands through. You dig a shallow pit in the square you currently occupy, turning the square into difficult terrain, including for you. In addition, you also kick up a cloud of grit in the direction of your choice. The cloud extinguishes small, unattended, non-magical fires and helps smother the flame on burning creatures located within the cone. Creatures in this cone that are taking persistent fire damage can immediately attempt another DC 15 flat check to end that persistent damage. But where's the cone though? That's strange. I assume just a 5-foot cone. If nothing else, being able to prep a battlefield by making difficult terrain squares is not the worst. Your archers will probably thank you. Esteemed Vigor. Your polite manners and natural ability to comfort others make it easy for you to break down cultural barriers and earn strangers' trust, While you're in a settlement, when you crit fail on diplomacy to gather information or make an impression, you get a failure. Probably not as good as Diggy Diggy Hole, but maybe you're seeing a lot of settlements. Maybe that's, if you're the face, Shoony Bard, super good. Handy with your paws gives you a +1 circumstance bonus, 2 crafting checks to repair non-magical items, and you don't need a repair kit for such repairs as long as you have any amount of junk, spare parts, or debris at your disposal. Sure, why not? How are we fixing that shield? Don't ask. Just be happy that it's gonna stop an arrow again. Improvisational Defender. You're always prepared for fights that frequently disrupt seemingly peaceful times. When you use an improvised or shoddy weapon, you don't take a -2. Scamper Underfoot gives you a +1 circumstance bonus to acrobatics checks to tumble through the spaces of medium or larger enemies, and the presence of the enemy doesn't make squares difficult terrain, unlike all of the holes that you've dug around the giant monster to really inconvenience it. And of course, Shoony Lore gets you trained in diplomacy and survival, or the skill of your choice if you've already got one, and Shoony Lore itself. For our 5th level choices, Loyal Empath lets you use the aid reaction to grant a bonus to another creature's will save. As usual for aid, you have to prep by using an action on your turn to encourage the creature to bravely withstand whatever it is that they're about to run into. Practice Paddler gives them a swim speed. Sure, given that you played a paddler, Shoony. I don't hate that. Even by level 5, one of the most deadly things you can run into in a TTRPG is sometimes just running water. If you took Scamper Underfoot at level 5, Tough Tumbler, which says that your movement ends only when you critically fail an acrobatics check to tumble through, not just when you fail. You still trigger reactions on the failure, but you get a +1 circumstance to your AC against attacks that you might trigger from trying to run through somebody's legs. At 9th, Improvisational Warrior says that when you use an improvised weapon, you get the crit specialization of a brawling weapon, and maybe something else depending on the shape and nature of the improvised weapon. Not the worst thing I've ever seen. I don't know, if you're planning on going to jail a lot, this might see a whole lot of use. Sodbuster just flat gives you a burrow speed if you took dig quickly. Damn, that's not bad. Don't gotta worry about tumbling through if you're just popping up the other side and then shanking somebody in the kidney before going back underground. At 13th, with Loyal Empath, Steadfast Ally says you can use the aid reaction to boost another creature's will save even when you haven't prepped it. Pop up out the ground and, hey human, don't get dominated, that'd be bad, and then on you go. Lastly, Unrivaled Builder if you took Handy with your paws. You gain Creation as a 5th level innate primal spell. You still have to have an equivalent bulk of material to create an item. You can cast the spell once a day. And you know what? I don't hate it. I didn't think the Shoony was going to be some strange, diggy, crafty thing, but provided we aren't running through dungeons or stone floors or anything like that, I think that's how I would play the Shoony. Something akin to like a ranger or a ranged alchemist. Somebody who has the stealth to go out to the battlefield before everyone else is on the battlefield, prep that battlefield by Diggy Diggy Hole. Also note that Dig Quickly does not have a duration. When you make that square difficult terrain it is. Set up a bunch of lines of difficult terrain. When they're coming after you, either you've put traps in the places that the difficult terrain is funneling them to, or you're just letting them burn their movement as you're shooting them down. Both are good. Even better if you wait a couple rounds and then you and your friends, the rest of the Shoony, all just pop up on the other side after Diggy Diggy Hole. God, being adopted by Shoony's kind of hilarious too. I guess this is one of those where it falls into, that doesn't make sense for your ancestry to have, as suddenly your like wood elf pops up on the other side. But there are a lot of races in existence that I could reasonably see have a burrow speed. Let the goblin just eat the dirt forever, certain breeds of Uruxi, so on and so forth. GMing for this species is interesting to say the least. One of the things I like the most about 2nd edition and about how like this ancestry itself is being introduced is they're already pretty fleshed out. It's not just here's a picture of a doggo, here's its stat block, here's if you wanted to fight it, a quick pre-generated CR1 half guy, and here you go. No, we know a lot about these guys. It's deity's best friend. What more do you want? You know, actually, the more I think about this, the more it dawns on me that the Shoony remind me a lot of hobbits. Not halflings, mind you, like Tolkien, like the hobbits of the Shire. pastoral, quiet country lives, out farming, fishing, and otherwise staying out of everybody's way. Just mix in the old Gaffer's Brew and make some weird World War I ties here, back and forth from the Shoony. Something devil dogs, I'm not sure. Point is, it seems to me like we've tried to take the Hobbit of Lord of the Rings and bring it into Pathfinder without just like forcing the halfling, an objectively different cultural ancestry, into that role, which I kind of dig. I also like that they've been basically rolled into just the pug part of dogs, because that leaves the design space open for if we want to make like a German Shepherd flavored Ancestry or a Husky flavored Ancestry or like so on and so forth for the bajillion breeds of dogs out there. And you could make them much different than this particular Ancestry, which has a very unique playstyle even amongst the other Ancestries, to say nothing of other Ancestries it might more closely physically resemble. I don't know. I'm rambling because I'm a giant design nerd. I love it. What do y'all think? Are we rolling up Shoonies? How are we liking 2nd edition so far? Did you like the way this video was edited? Because please tell me. We are at a point in our life where we are 100% on patron feedback. If this looks great and you want to see more like this, please let me know. Till then, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content. Throughout like the rest of May and into some of June, I imagine the non-game content will roll a little slower. But as we pick up, I imagine we can see it start coming out a little bit faster. Till then, friends, I will see you next time.